All right, here we are. Welcome everybody to the 17th episode of the PBMED podcast. I'm your host Dustin, here with my co-host Brent, back from vacation. How you doing, Brent?
Good. It was an eventful vacation. Me and the fam went to Great Wolf Lodge out in Concord, North Carolina, right outside of Charlotte. First time visiting there. It's a pretty awesome place.
Hey, that's like a national thing, right?
Yeah.
Or at least it's more locations than just in like the Charlotte area.
Yeah, I think there's a few locations around the country. I think Florida has one, and maybe I don't know, somewhere up on the northeast of the U.S. has one. But yeah, like it's kind of like an all-inclusive, kid-friendly mini resort. My kids love the like pool and wave pool.
Yeah.
I think
It's pretty cool.
it is. I think like my kids needed probably to be a few years older to like fully enjoy everything there.
Yeah,
so like
'cause
maybe in 2 or 3 years we'll go back.
Ellie, she's like 18 months. Am I remembering that right?
Ellie's gonna be 4 soon.
Oh,
Colin
no, you
is
switched
18.
it. Yeah, Ellie's 4. Yeah, Colin is 18 months. Yeah.
Yeah.
18 months might be, like you're saying, a little bit young.
A little young.
For the kiddie pool area.
Yeah, that's about all he could do was the kiddie pool area. He loved it, but that's about all he could do. So I think like maybe 5 to 10 or 5 to 12 is kind of the sweet spot for there. There's even stuff for older kids and teens there too.
Yeah, there's an arcade. We won some big
Dustin's
prizes.
favorite thing is the
My
arcade.
wife said I shouldn't be proud for the prizes I won at that arcade last time we were there, but I am. I don't know if you saw, Brent, but there were several comments from last week in your absence calling for some sort of reprimand or penalty for your early absence.
Oh, for taking PTO too early in my
That's correct.
my tenure here?
Yeah, what do you got, like 6 or something episodes? Or
Right,
like 2 or 3, actually?
I don't think I've accrued enough PTO for that. Huh?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
That's coming straight out of your pay.
Straight out of my
Pay
non-existent
docked.
pay.
Pay docked. No, to be fair, I think it was 50-50. People who were like, fine him, and the other 50 that were like, it's like, we miss him. So it was like half and half.
Okay, yeah. I can deal with that.
Welcome back.
I can deal with that.
We'll see if Brent can earn respect back.
I'll try my best, guys and gals.
Also, did you see on our last podcast, people noticed the crickets on the wall in here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is probably Brent and I's last in-person podcast for a while since I'm moving.
Somebody's got to go be a doctor, save lives and shit.
Try anyways. But in a way, I was actually thinking today, I came in, this is built in my crawl space, and holy shit. Like, so they look like spiders. I'm sure you'll see them. If you see them, point them out throughout the podcast. But they're giant crickets. They're like camel crickets. They got a bunch of names. They are even called spider crickets, but they're huge. There's like 3 on the floor underneath my feet right now.
There's one over there.
Yeah, it's that time of year, so
yeah. And it's raining here too, so I feel like they come out. Yeah.
Yeah, there was like an inch of clearance under that door for them to get in.
It's a very well insulated door, and by well insulated I mean not insulated.
Yeah, right. Okay, well, I figure since this is Brent and I's last thing for a little bit, good riddance, Brent. We'll do
I was getting tired of this anyways.
Yeah, not only, it wasn't vacation, he was quitting, and I was like, come back for one more.
Just one more.
One more.
A little farewell.
We're going to do another giveaway, just like I did on that solo pod. I reached out to a couple of brands, a couple of companies before we started today. I've got 2, and I want one more, so I'll take, I just didn't have time before we started. So if anybody wants to sponsor the giveaway, thanks in advance, and we'll see who's interested. But Friday offered to donate one of their Gen 3 Fevers.
Nice.
And Mark Pickleball is donating an unreleased Mark II R2.
Oh, that's the unmarked, just
that's
different
the new
name,
unmarked.
right?
Yeah, it's the marked unmarked.
That's one of our faves.
The marked. Yes, it is. And I'll show a picture of that in a second. And then there'll be a third. So we'll do three winners.
Nice.
To enter the giveaway, do the usual stuff. So subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment, and I usually put a Google, like a form, a link in the description below, because that's the only way I can contact you, since you can't really do it through YouTube. So do those 3 things. We'll pick 3 winners. What should we do in like a week? Let's do or should we do it? Let's do it while we're in Florida.
Yeah, over the weekend.
Yeah, we'll pick a winner while we're in Florida. Let's do like Saturday. Let's do Saturday. We'll pick a winner on Saturday, this coming Saturday at the Nerdy Tourney that we'll announce from there.
Yeah, I like that.
So good luck, everyone. Thanks for watching, and wish Brent bon voyage in the tournament. and in the podcast. So, first item of business. So, just going to go over some newly released and releasing paddles. So, already mentioned the Friday Gen 3. Where do we go here? So, the Fever. This went for sale between our last podcast and now. Gen 3 paddle. I think for the rest of the month, you get them for $95. And then after this month is over, they go up to like $114, something like that, in that ballpark. So those are released. Did you see the Alpha Pro Power? Is released for ambassadors?
I did not see it was released. I really want to get my hands on one of those because it sounds like exactly kind of right up my alley as far as things I like in a paddle. Yeah. So from what I've heard, it sounds like it's got a decent amount of power. It's also a little softer, plusher feeling. It's elongated. I believe it's elongated.
Yeah, well, yeah it is because it's the same. It's a hybrid, like a mix between the Alpha, the Alpha 1, whatever they call that, the other one a lot of people liked. So it's 10 millimeter cell size, so larger cells, which tend to cushion a little bit more, but with the design, like the rest of the construction process, mimicking the Power Series, the 624 Power Series. So the larger cells with the power, like construction and whatnot.
Do we know if there's any fiberglass in this one?
I imagine there is, because everything else should be the same, but I don't know for sure. So if there was one thing I probably would want to change a little bit in the 11624 Powers, I felt like I wanted it to be more plush.
Yeah,
so,
me too. Yeah.
The ambassadors are getting those. I'm seeing them on people's stories now.
Oh.
They look sick. And David had one when he came here. I don't know if you ran into him or not.
Really?
But when he came
for PPA?
That's right.
So
yeah, I saw it.
Funny story. Cool. When I was at Great Wolf Lodge in Concord, I actually reached out to David and was like,
"What are you doing?"
Hey, it was really late notice. It was like the day of.
Yeah.
I was like, "Hey,
David.
I might be able to sneak away and play a little pickleball. Like, are you close to here?" And turns out like there's an indoor place 5 minutes from Great Wolf Lodge that he plays at.
Uh-huh.
He said his coach plays there, so he goes there.
Did you go
quite
play
often?
With him?
I did not get to play with him. Unfortunately, it was some kind of he had some kind of release going on that day. I don't know if it was like a new colorway of one of the powers.
I bet it was to the ambassadors. I bet
it could have been. Yeah, but he said he was stuck at the warehouse until super late.
Well, David putting the customers first.
Yeah, as he
Very
should.
typical.
Very typical. I was not surprised.
Reviewers, get to the back. Yeah. Get to co-hosts, get further back.
You can make it up to me by sending me an Alpha Pro Power.
David's
I don't know what APP stands for, but it's
yeah. I think
Alpha
that's it.
Pro Power.
Yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
So that's starting. I think they'll release to the public, from what I see on the Discord, which is always flooding, July-ish.
Oh wow.
So,
okay.
I don't know anything else. That's it.
Okay.
The unmarked. So this is the unmarked, no markings, is now going to be marked and called the Mark II R2. I think I have actually back there, if you can see it, the original Mark II, the Kevlar on the wall there. Actually, I wonder, I should overlay them and see if they're the same footprint, but that's a Kevlar version, like a Kevlar hybrid, Kevlar carbon fiber hybrid. This is what the new Mark II R2s look like, and he gave me permission to share this finally. So, this is the design. Can you see that?
Kind of.
A little bit of a glare.
Oh yeah, I like that.
You like
I like it? I like the unmarked. I think I like the unmarked better. I
I'm
like the understated unmarked.
Yeah.
But that's not bad either.
Yeah.
That's pretty sharp.
It's on the simple side. Yeah,
It is. Yeah.
I get a lot of questions about the unmarked. People are like, what is that? I think people have like a thought of, if they see a blank paddle, they're like, oh, it's a secret paddle.
Yeah.
So I like that aspect. But this isn't bad either. That's what they're going to look like. And those, so he's getting those this week. This week and starting to ship them out. So,
and they're supposed to be the same as the unmarked,
that's what they said. Yeah, I obviously haven't hit one yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. I hope they are, because if not, then like the unmarked is, run out, and I'll have to find a different,
different main.
Yeah, that's right. Don't jump the gun, Brent. Get back. Sure. Okay, and then obviously...
No, I'm just saying it's been your main. I don't know if it currently is.
I think there's really been two paddles over the history of like me, since I started reviewing, that have been my main for a really long time. The Neonic Flow and the Unmarked. They've definitely been the longest.
That's saying something, because you've been in the game for a few years now.
Yeah, everything looks shiny when it comes out, and you're like, oh, cool.
I know.
Like, oh... the Ripple, like, yeah, I love the power. It's I love the soft feel, like, and I just like ripping it. And then I'm like, I play with players who are a little better than me, and I'm like, why aren't my dinks going? No.
Why
Anyways,
aren't my resets going down? Why is everything going to
Brent
Brent's
wins
chest?
a couple of beer games, and all of a sudden he's like, better than me. He's extrapolating that pretty far. As if there were rating evidence of such a claim.
If there was objective data, I don't know where it is.
Yeah, something.
I've heard something about Duper, but who can trust Duper these days?
There's only flawed systems in existence at this point, so those release the Ripples, the V2s, fully legal whether you like it or not, releasing at noon, 12 Eastern Standard Time this coming Friday.
Oh, wow.
Which, whatever the date that is.
Is it already
Is this week?
May 30th?
Yeah.
Isn't I think that was the day that they were going to release.
Yeah,
Is
whatever
that
the day of this coming Friday is. I think it's the 30th.
May 30th is this Friday.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll be in Florida at the old... Well, we're flying to Florida.
Yeah.
For the old nerdy tourney. And the Ripples are going out. So Dong said he has between 1,500 and 2,000 units per model. Okay. So that's between the three shapes. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that amount. I know that 11624 with their power launch, they had about 1,500-ish before sending some out to reviewers and whatever. But that was across all three shapes, I think, right?
Yeah.
And that was gone in minutes.
Yeah.
Minutes. So this is roughly 3 times that much. But also it's, a paddle that's been lurking for a while. And there's probably going to be some mixed reviews out there just from what I've seen already. So
yeah, and there's
interesting to see.
The past controversy. You try to separate, as a company, you try to separate yourself as much as you can from that, but there's always going to be people who, have hard feelings from that whole thing. Yeah,
and I talked to Dong on the phone this week because I wanted to clarify some things. I cut open the new V2 and had some questions for him about some changes or why I'm seeing certain things or why I'm not seeing certain things I thought I would see. And man, he really is a nice guy, really down to earth.
He is.
It was a pleasure to talk to him. So that was really great. And he's straightforward about some things that's like, yeah, I built this to beat the test. Like I did this thing because that's what the test needs to have. So I was like, cool, I appreciate that.
Yeah. Like we said on previous pods, I was kind of a Ronbus exclusive player a year or so back, and had early access to Ripples and Pulsars and whatnot. And he always struck me as a guy who was pretty straightforward, pretty straight shooter. I think all the controversy that happened around the V1 Ripple, it can definitely paint you in a different light potentially in the court of public opinion. But I think there was just lots of circumstances beyond everyone's control at that point.
Well, at that time too, when the last one was set to release in January, he didn't have like a PB core machine.
Yeah.
And he could test deflection, but not like a PB core coefficient or like a ratio or whatever. And he has one now, so they've been like testing like crazy. And we'll get into that a little bit later. Also, June 10th, there's a double release. That's going to be the C45, both shapes.
Oh.
So that, like all things, it'll come before you know it. But we've got the elongated. The colors will be flipped. So the elongateds are blue, and the standards will be red.
They'll be green, right?
Oh, yeah. So whatever you call this. The turquoise-ish,
Teal-ish,
greenish, tealish.
Yeah.
This color, turquoise-ish, not green. Could be
Teal.
green. Teal. And the elongateds will be... No, damn it. The elongateds will be that color. These will be red. Red for sure. I don't have mine yet, but they'll be in, and I'll get some B-roll in it. But I've had RC testing the C45
that?
as well. He's also one of those guys that likes the low dwell time.
He does, yeah.
Quick pop, tiny paddle, brush with ease, not a lot of forward motion type stuff.
It feels like
the power layer type guys.
Yeah, from what I know of RC's game and what he likes, I would think that the C45, either the 16 or the 14, honestly, would be a good fit.
He liked the 16 better.
Yeah.
And that's fair because the 16 C45 plays more 14 length than any other 16 I've probably played with.
For sure.
And not necessarily in a bad way, but
yeah,
it's good, and it's a little bit more stable. So that plus the Holbrook ARMA series. Here we have the carbon fiber one and the face because I cut it off. We'll show that a little bit later, but all their shapes of that will be coming out on the 10th as well. You'll probably see a number of reviews that's got some interesting construction too.
Yeah,
we'll show some X-rays in some pictures of the inner core that I got from my dissection here coming up too. And one update. So I got my SQAIRZ shoes replaced finally.
Oh.
I think we talked like a few episodes ago about a listener that had hers replaced, and she sent some pictures in, and she didn't have any problems. So I was like, I can push mine a little bit further, and I sent in some pictures, and I'm like, hey, actually the nerdy tourney, I was like, I got a tournament coming up, and I could use some more shoes, like, and so I sent it in, and pretty much like her story. This is what they're looking like. So the
wow, okay,
like I drag the toe, so like the top is worn through, but I don't think that's what the warranty covers. It covers the outsole. So I've worn through the blue on the big toe portion, but otherwise it's not bad. This is 3 months actually to the day. So we started talking about these on the 26th of February, I believe.
Oh, wow.
March, April, May. Yeah, it's literally 3 months. So and I'll probably keep using these, and I'll use the other ones for times when I need. Like, these will probably be my practice or drilling shoes.
Yeah.
So I think between the two of them, I probably will get, like, if I were to keep playing as I have been playing, I'd probably get like 8 months out of them.
Yeah.
And the replacement shoes were free, and they come with the 1 warranty. So after codes, those were $144. And which I suspect will go 7-8-ish months or something, so not bad.
Yeah, so 144 total.
Yeah, after codes. Well,
okay.
I don't know about shipping or whatever taxes, but once you apply your 10% off, you have to use the link in the description now. You can't do codes on Pickleball Central anymore, but they still do discount links. So if you use the discount link, it knocks 10% off or whatever. Okay. But
144 for 6 to 8 months of use.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like the most screaming deal on earth, but I like the room in them, and I like the laces, the little grippy, things
I
they have on them.
I like the shoes, honestly. They just didn't work for my feet.
They're a wide shoe.
They're
definitely
wider,
a wide shoe, which I like because my feet get hot.
On purpose. Like, they did that on purpose, and I get the reasoning for it. It's just narrow feet folks probably won't like them, but I think, considering the shoes I buy, like, if you buy 𝑑𝒂𝒅𝒅𝒐 𝑔 or some of the Mizunos or whatever, you're spending $140, $150. So it's comparable in price.
Yeah.
If it lasts, if you get a replacement pair and it lasts.
I mean, still to this day, I don't care what shoe it is. I haven't found any shoe that lasts longer than 3 or 4 months for me. So, like, if you can lower the price or give me another pair under warranty, like, it's all kind of the same. So I haven't found a sole thick enough. Maybe the head shoes.
Maybe.
Head Pro Boas, perhaps.
Those are kind of bulky. Yeah.
They were a little bulky, so I didn't really like the way. I like feeling through my toes a little bit more with those. And I wore those golfing one day, actually, and I forgot that they had the aerated center, the open mesh in the center, and it had rained. It was rained the night before, and I was soaked in minutes, and I was like, damn it. Yep. Just like you said. I've
been there. Yeah, exactly.
You?
Yeah. I've done that before in other shoes. Not those, but other shoes. And it's a very uncomfortable feeling when you feel that water
wet
seep
socks.
in. Yeah.
That's why I don't like snow. Being from Utah, I was like, wet socks. That's my thing. I do not like that.
Yeah. We don't really get snow much here anymore, so
once a year, once every other year in North Carolina.
You might get
like
some
that.
more where you're headed.
We will, and I am gonna love it. It's gonna be great getting snow in Pittsburgh, and it'll be clean coming through the city.
Oh yes,
all the clean air.
You'll be forced to stay the night at the hospital too. They're not gonna let you leave. Like, no, residents can't leave. We can't have you guys potentially getting trapped at home.
What would I know if it snows outside?
Yeah, exactly. You're in
what does it matter to me?
You're in a windowless ED.
Who cares?
You don't know if it's night, day, what time it is, what day it is.
Don't know how old I am, who I am.
Nope. You just know that you got another patient to treat.
That's right. Yeah, and certainly needy. That's how it works. There's always another. There's always somebody that's been waiting for 3 hours and is upset about it.
Yep.
It's just it's an unfortunate truth, really.
Yeah.
So let's do some main paddle rounds. It's been can't remember if it's been a couple episodes since we've done it, but we have tested quite a few paddles since then. And you went first last time, so I'm going first.
Yeah, go for it.
But I'm interested because there's been some really close ones to what has been your historic main for a long time. But it's been interesting because we've a lot of realizations. So we've tested a ton of power paddles lately. The Holbrook ARMAs, which is, even though it's Gen 3 and it's got that foam perimeter, it so far has been playing kind of closer to like a Gen 2-ish. Like, it's somewhat linear, I think, the power. It's not super exponential, but it is very poppy. The Ripples, of course. Other power paddles, I don't know. Lots of paddles.
Yeah, all the YOLAs.
Yeah, all the YOLAs. And, certainly I haven't got it that much better at controlling them. They're fun and whatever.
Yeah.
But then it's preparing for the nerdy tourney. Their highest tech is kind of like Gen 2 style. Yeah. They've experimented a lot with face composition. But they don't have a lot of Gen 3s, or they don't have any Gen 3s yet.
Not publicly released.
Yeah,
No.
yeah, and they've got good paddles, but they play a certain way.
Yeah.
They play a Gen 2-ish way.
Yeah.
So I've been using the Invader a lot, testing the Fat Boy and Shogun, whatever. So then there's that end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And then I break out the old unmarked.
Which is not Gen 3.
Yeah, it actually
Yeah.
isn't. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not, but it has the 10 millimeter cell size, so it incorporates some of that. It has an aspect of Gen 3 paddles that's really good. It's got that squishy feel that kind of like is very pleasant.
Yep.
To hit with, and I've been playing with it like very consistently since I've got it. Still every day I like feel it. I'm like, don't break on me. Like there's none of you left. You're all gone. So I'm just crossing my fingers that the Mark II R2 or whatever he's calling it. Mark II R2 is truly plays the same. Even though I like the looks of this one better.
Yeah.
I'll probably still go with that one.
Yeah. I may let you take my Mark unmarked with you to Pittsburgh. Because I like it, right?
What a nice guy.
But I enjoy others more at this point. I think if you had to,
a fool.
If you force me into picking, all right, pick the one of the best non-Gen 3 paddles for myself, that would be near the top of the list, if not the top of the list for me.
That's
but I'm enjoying some others.
The foam enhancement is like a big deal.
The foam enhancement, yeah.
We're spoiled. Like
we are.
I think
yeah.
people forget as they kind of like buy the new things, like how significant those changes are. And then if you revert back to like a generic Gen 2, you're like, oh shit, like okay, I remember now. Like
it's like, oh, all right, I felt that off-center shot.
Why isn't it absorbing the ball? So
why doesn't it sink in and then launch it for me?
Why is it just kind of like just go into place without like feeling good? You know? So yeah, that's probably my second longest paddle that I've ever made. I like for probably like a year or so I made the Neonic Flow, which I probably still could. I played with the Flow Prime X, or the but I think it's the Flow Prime X. It has the X in the name. The new one they came out with, it's just a little bit beefier and still just felt so good. I was like, I could go back to this, but it doesn't have the sweet spot or the compression and the the power quite that the unmarked and hopefully the Mark II R2 has. So stand by on that. Hopefully this week or next week I'll have that. But for now, that's what I got.
Yeah.
What you got, Brent?
For me, we have been hitting a lot of different paddles, a lot of the power paddles, and I keep coming back to the Apes.
This is wild.
The Pulse X. That's been my
Brent's
main
upgraded
for the
power from the S to the X.
It's been my main for the past 3 to 4 weeks, and the way I have it set up now, that epiphany that I had about swing weight maybe not being as important to me as I thought it was, and balance point maybe being more important to me than I thought it was. And adding that counterbalance at the bottom with a flick weight or just a generic weight on the bottom. It kind of, I don't know, opened up a lot for me. So
it was just the swing weight that was holding you back.
It was the swing weight.
So if you put the balance point lower,
exactly.
The perceived head heaviness.
Yeah, I can't state that enough. Like that I was very much a swing weight like elitist. Like, all right, if it's over 120, just miss me with that. I don't even want to touch it. I don't want it.
Yeah.
But
if you haven't experimented with balance point, you are not living. Like,
no, you're not.
I've tested like hundreds of paddles, and I'm just barely getting into this concept of balance point, and I'm like, what am I like? It's blown my mind at the paddles I've like not liked because they're like, they're too head heavy.
Yeah,
I can't modify it. And now, like, my mind is blown because I'm like, whoa, this opens a whole new thing. Because gross weight doesn't really matter. It's
not as much.
It really doesn't. But so that's what did it for you. You're saying
it is. Realizing that swing weight is not the end all be all metric to go by, right? And just if you see a swing weight of 120 plus, don't be still give it a try, and you can still modify it as long as you pull the balance point down, or maybe it's got a higher swing weight with a lower balance point just in general. So I think that's kind of my PSA, and it will continue to be my PSA. Is like I didn't think that moving the balance point made much of a difference at all before I actually started experimenting myself.
Yeah.
And I've noticed that it made a lot of difference for me. I don't know if that is more so coming from a racket sport, a tennis background, where the paddles, the rackets are generally more
he's
like
gone reverse. Some people come from tennis are like, what kind of racket do you have? And Brent's like calling rackets paddles now.
I know. That's how you know you're fully converted from tennis.
That's right. Yeah, eat shit, tennis.
Yeah. I'm not wearing my pickleball greater than tennis shirt today, but
shout out to 𝑳𝒊𝒏 𝑷𝒂𝒅𝒏
𝑷𝒂𝒅𝒍𝒆
Bull City Pickleball League.
Chris Jakes right here. But yeah, I'm feeling that I prefer a little bit more weight in the head, that feeling of stability further away from the handle, and just having that counterweight there, and having that like familiar feel of like I have a tennis racket in my hand, and it kind of just flows through the ball, and that heaviness on the
out
end
there to kind of like plow through for you.
Yep.
Well, tell us then, Brent. So pretty much since podcasts, like the first podcast you've had with me, you were maining the Pulse S.
Yeah.
You flirted with a couple that were kind of like the Yola. Hyperion was your toy one week.
Yeah, it was my novelty.
Like, this is a fun like poppy paddle. But you keep going back to the Pulse series.
Keep going back, man.
What brings you back?
I play the best with it. I play the most consistent with that paddle, and I think it's because of that softer plush feeling, especially once the Pulse has been broken in and opened up. It has this like just very pleasant pocketing of the ball. There's as far as feedback, there is some feedback, but it's pretty muted. It just feels pleasant to play with, and I still have really good control with it, and it has the power that I need when I need it. It's not even broken in. It's not top of the power category. You know, it's pushing into the power category, especially the Pulse X for sure. I think when it's broken in or heavily weighted, it's pushing into that power category. It's probably near the bottom end of it, in my opinion, but I think having a paddle that's on the lower end of the power category that still provides me with good spin, with good control, with just good feel on resets and soft stuff, I think is what kind of makes the perfect paddle for myself. And so I just feel the most confident with that one. If you give me more of a power paddle, like a Yola, or a really poppy paddle, like one that incorporates fiberglass close to the surface layer, I feel less confident. Yeah, like the Course Fire.
Brent bought one of those too.
I did buy one of those.
That didn't last long.
It did not. You
sold it to Damas.
I did.
And then Damas broke it.
And then Damas broke it. Yep. The launch angle.
And they got delisted.
Sorry, Damas. Yeah, I need something that definitely like pockets and is more plush feeling on the
Brent
ball.
needs a lot of forgiveness.
I do.
For his many errors and his low skill level.
You know, my duper is just too low. I can't handle the power paddles.
No, let this be a lesson to all of us. You don't have to have a power paddle to be good.
It's true.
Because look at me, I don't have a power paddle. Brent maybe could use one.
You can be 5.0 plus duper and not have a Yola.
You can be a 4.5 duper and play like a 5.0 plus person. And
it's because
it's unmarked for all we know.
That duper algorithm is broken. Yeah.
What a bunch of shit.
We happen to know the head of the duper algorithm, Sarah. It's not broken. It's just
you're doing a great job,
this guy.
You're doing a great job. No, she's smart. That's great. Okay.
She's wicked smart.
Anything else on your main, Brent?
Just the Pulse X. We'll talk a little bit about the Harmony later.
I was really curious about that.
Yeah.
We'll circle back when we do our main, analysis of the Harmony series. Good news for you. I should say that I did confirm. I talked with Ivan on the phone, like after my last podcast dropped, where I spoke a little bit about the Harmony series, and he confirmed that he is keeping the Pulse in the lineup.
All right.
But he wants this is great. We did this, Brent. We did this. Yes.
You did it with your 7,500 subscribers.
You did this. Folks, viewers, you did this, and thank you. What a great job. That would have been so sad. There's nothing like the Pulse.
Thanks for doing our bidding. Thanks for doing my bidding.
Brent thanks you all Send him a message and he'll buy you a beer.
Yeah, sure.
Because I bought him all his beers.
That's what happens when you lose beer games all the time, you know? Yeah.
3 does not represent... I mean, it may be 3-4-3. Oh, goodness.
It's 100% failure rate right now.
We'll circle back to the beer game, Brent.
All right.
Smug bastard. So let's talk. So we've got people have been talking a lot about the bread and butter nerdy tourney.
The nerdy tourney.
And which we're going to go and whip some ass down there.
Team Pharmaceuticals.
Yeah, I have been curious. I was wondering which of the paddles you were going to pick, and I was right, I will say.
You had an influence on me with that. I had a different idea of what I thought I would like.
And then I told Brent what he liked.
Yep. I'm a big enough man to admit when I'm wrong. All right.
So Brent and I are going to go play with the... Did you bring yours down by chance?
I did. Hold on.
We're going with the invaders, the aliens. Brent's getting his out. And what do you know? Show the side view that Brent again has stolen my weight setup.
I believe if the viewers remember correctly, this type of setup was first seen on some of my battles, and I think maybe you stole it.
It is a good
me.
setup, but not for randomness.
No, yeah.
Like I've heard people with some of their setups that's like, oh, I don't know, I just saw so and so did it, so I do it like that. But
yeah,
there's logic to mine. So I'll be playing with the invader. I did break out the Shogun.
Same.
It just wasn't feeling right for me. The sweet spot was a little bit too small. It's still a solid paddle. I know Isaac uses that as his main. I'm going to take the Fat Boy as my backup in case I need a little bit more control. Going wide body, which Brent can't do.
I cannot.
So if he can't do this, he's a one-trick pony.
No, I got something in my bag. So I'm bringing the filth down there too.
Oh, which one? Which shape?
The elongated. Yeah,
I'm
gonna weight
I didn't know that.
I'm gonna weight it up. Probably put some weight on the end, little end cap weight there, and that's gonna be potential.
That's not enough.
That's gonna be my backup and could jump into the lead, especially considering it's gonna be 90 degrees down there. I don't know what balls we're playing with. If we're playing with like Franklin's, they're gonna be marshmallows down there.
Don't you be giving us Franklin's.
We're gonna need all the power we can get
no.
if it's Florida heat
Don't
with
do
a
that.
Franklin ball. So
we'll bring our own balls.
Yeah, I'll bring some Vulcans.
We'll bring some Duras for crying out loud.
We'll bring Duras,
Whatever.
the hardest ball. We'll get some lifetime balls.
Well,
whatever.
here's the thing. Brent's going to be playing left because Farmer is a left-handed, farmman. And so he'll be obviously on the right. You're going to be across from Aaron the editor. All I'm seeing is Brent just kind of trying to hit some dinks with his non-Gen 3 paddles, and Aaron just going whap, 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 back at Brent.
Hey, that could happen. That could definitely happen.
Filth, invader, whatever.
Yeah.
Whap, Aaron, whap. Just right back at him. No, we're not doing it, Brent. Sorry, Farmer. Farmer, we're coming for you.
I'm getting iced out. Is that what you're saying?
You're damn right you are, Brent. Even with as bad as Brent is, we're not going to hit Brent. We can hit Brent.
Because I'm
going to show some footage here in a minute to illustrate Brent's weaknesses. And we'll see that the rest of us are fine.
Is it
we're all right.
Some more creative editing from you? A little
I'll let you decide. Well, okay, we digress.
If the past is any indicator, it's definitely creative editing to make Dustin look way better than he is.
If live footage in the moment is creative, then call me freaking Picasso. I don't know.
I meant to bring my own camera to last beer games to film,
what do
but
you
then
know?
I was like,
it didn't exist.
Then I was like, well, how is it going to get uploaded anyways? Because I don't have control over the channel.
What do you know?
Yeah.
So anyways, got the invader here. I picked this of the bread and butter paddles. I think it's kind of I didn't think the Shogun had a good enough sweet spot for me. And the Fat Boy, I wanted just a little bit more power, a little bit more pop. And when I played with it, I did want a little bit more stability and power. So first I added, lead tape down here. I've got 5 inches, you think?
At least. That might be closer to 6.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Freaking 10, I don't know. By my measurements.
Get my wife to measure.
Yeah, that's exactly 10 inches from what I'm told. No, maybe 5 inches of weight. That's 0.5 grams per inch tungsten.
It's perfectly average amount of weight you got on there.
That's an average length of weight on there. And I was like, yeah, the stability felt pretty good.
Yeah.
But I wanted just a little bit more power, so I added then what's that? 12 inches
At least.
I added probably like 4 inches up at the top corner so that I could get a little bit more power, a little bit more weight at the head to turn it over. But then it kind of felt a little heavy, so whap. Explored our new investigative series. This is the 18 grammer.
Whoa.
Which
okay.
I don't mind at all. It actually feels really good. I found that.
Can I see that?
Yeah. Go right ahead.
Let's see.
I've heard like people who are like, like Jeff puts his pinky off the tail end, which I used to do.
I can see
for
Jeff
control
doing that,
and tennis elbow. He's very wristy. He's very twisted.
I get less control with my pinky off. I get more power, but I get less control with pinky off.
I haven't noticed any increase in control from Brent with anything, but
okay.
I like if I just treat like the end of the paddle when I put my pinky off like that, it's fine either way. But anyways, I found that when I put the weight up here and I have the counterbalance here, turning it over like feels really nice.
Yeah.
So I feel like I get more torque.
Yeah.
So this is my setup that I'll be going with. And again, if I'm having like a bad day, which let's be real, I'll be having a fine day. Yeah, especially if I'm playing.
All they see is highlights from you, so it seems like you only play well. Yeah,
you're damn right. That's what happens when you own the camera.
I know.
So that's what I'm going with. And Brent has slightly less weight than mine.
Yeah, I think
he produces power a little bit easier than me.
A little bit.
To be fair.
A little bit. Yeah, my setup is generally the same. I got some weight down here kind of for stability, and then a little bit up here. I don't go quite as far up on the head as Dustin goes.
There's no logic behind that.
There's because I don't have any weight on the bottom there, so I didn't want to get too high. I actually did. I'm trying to think. Like I think I had some up until right there, but that felt really head heavy to me, and I didn't really want to put a weight on the bottom for this paddle, so I kind of pulled the amount of lead back or the amount of tungsten back, and this feels good to me as far as like weight. I think it's at like 8.7, 8.8 stock right
like
now.
9 then probably.
It's got to be. If you got that 18 grammer on the bottom, you got to be pushing 9 for sure. But yeah, like
I can handle it.
It is different to go from all these Gen 3 paddles that we've been playing with to a Gen 2 with fiberglass construction. It is a different feel. It's got good pop on it, but sometimes that is leading to some pop-ups.
That's right.
So yeah, as far as a Shogun, I thought I would like that one the best. It's just
not having played with it.
I thought I would like it the best just based on like on paper, and it's elongated and it has a higher swing weight. So I thought I could weight it up and throw a flick weight on the bottom and be good. And it is a nice paddle, but it feels so muted to me. Like it feels like I don't get any feedback from it. And I know I don't like a ton of feedback from paddles, but that just feels almost like a true foam to me with the low amount of feedback that I get. And it just didn't have quite enough juice.
Anyways.
Yeah, for me.
I've noticed you're not very much of a titanium, PET, whatever you want to call it, titanium polyester paddle kind of guy. You don't like that softer feel quite so much.
Yeah, I mean, what does the Apes have on it? Kevlar, yeah. So
it's a Kevlar hybrid. It's an Urban Weave. Yeah, Kevlar is a brand name, but it's an Urban Weave blend.
Yeah. The Shogun was just a little too soft for me. It felt like I was hitting with a pillow. Almost.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then I mean the
all
Invader.
You Shogun users, you light haters, smoke ya.
The Invader might even be a little too crisp, a little too firm for me.
I would like it to be a little absorbent, but I'll take the massage gun to it. Before we go down there, I'll just put it around the perimeter so it creates a little floating core.
We don't have to get paddle tested or anything before this tournament, do we?
Nobody is feeling my paddle whatsoever.
Yeah, don't press in the middle for crunching sounds.
That's right. Plus, once we make the finals, we're going to break this sucker out. Yeah, the Gold Invader.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to bring this with and just...
That thing looks sick.
Feel it grit on that.
Oh, wow.
That's just freaking ridiculous.
That may be the most gritty thing I've... This feels like Gen 3 Yola, like original Gen 3 Yola.
That's not... Yeah, so if you notice So you can't have an edge guard this freaking shiny and be approved. Like the Franklins are already pushing it, but if you notice, I don't know if you can see on film,
I didn't notice that.
The little like quasi, USAP, it says Merca Pickleball not approved. So we're like,
I did not notice
hell,
that
if it's not approved, just grade it up.
Yeah.
And I mean, they freaking did.
They did.
You know what? You're making me think, like, maybe I should just play with this now.
Yeah, I don't know if I could actually hit a ball with that paddle. It
This is a bread and butter
feels
paddle. We don't need to be-
sacrilege to
we don't-
hit a ball with that.
We don't need to be playing with approved paddles, though. It just has to be a bread and butter paddle.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, and it doesn't even need to be like a core intact paddle.
And maybe you're circumventing the rules here. We're gonna have Doug weigh in on this. And
Like Doug's gonna not say I can't play with this gold paddle. Yeah, right.
you're gonna be hitting
right.
friggin' 70-mile-an-hour serves with an invader, and people are gonna be like,
So what, like a mile an hour
are you
faster
doing?"
than normal?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Mhm.
Well, so here's what we got. Brent, timely he takes a swig of his beer because for the third time in a row, by some unfortunate means, Brent has taken a victory in beer games.
Somehow I beat him again.
In reviewing the footage,
for the third time in a
there's
row.
clear reasons why.
Did you get hooked like 12 times? And
There's a
foot
lot of that.
faults?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of net cords.
Uh-huh,
There's a lot of distractions.
distract little hindrance.
To be quite
action.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Well, thanks for not calling it in the middle of the game.
It's hard to when I'm trying to play pickleball and you're doing things I only find out later. Real unfortunate. What a sportsman. So for those who don't know, Brent and I every week we take the paddle that we can pick any paddle that we test it. So we do like a weekly drill session in addition to whatever else we're doing for playing, and we drill with some of the paddles and kind of go over and talk, feel some of the nuances and whatever. At the end of the drill session, we do. We usually do 3 drills. We'll do backhand, starting at the kitchen, both on the left side, then forehand, both on the right side. Then we'll do skinny singles.
Skinny singles, double or nothing there.
It does always go double or nothing, because I am usually behind at that point. Except for the first time. I did win a drill once.
You did. You won right side.
That's right.
Yeah.
I am the better. I'm just gonna stop. No, I won a drill once, and we'll stop there. So, anyways, that's what we do every week. Congratulations, Brent wins again for the 3rd time in a row, and he skates away unblemished. But Brent does not know what I have in store today. So,
creative editing, more creative editing.
I can't share the whole footage, considering the tournament we have coming up. Can't have everybody just looking at everything.
We can't give too much film
for
away.
your benefit and mine.
Thank you.
And that's the only reason I have collected some balanced footage that is equally as complimenting to you as me. And I'll share it for us. We can give commentary.
I can't wait to see this balanced footage.
It's very balanced. Got. So and there's some explanations here as to hey, this is why this happened and what the hell. Kind of stuff. So I've got 5 clips.
5 clips. All
yeah,
right.
I would have gone more, but I just didn't have time. So
are they gonna see this on the pod? Or?
That's right. Yeah, I'm gonna put it over on screen.
Okay.
And we can give commentary.
Okay.
As I play this.
All right.
I'm gonna turn my volume off. All right. So at this point, Brent and we're in the skinny singles. I think all these actually are at the skinny singles point.
Oh, you mean where the game didn't matter anymore? Is that what?
This was double or nothing, and it matters a whole hell of a lot. It matters double as much, Brent. So, Brent and I, we give a little, leeway, but you roughly have to stay on that one half of the court.
Yeah. We'll give a
Brent's
few inches to the middle line.
I'm probably at a few points at this point, and I'm serving. So, I'm gonna go ball in. What a drop. I'm working my way up. Oh! Okay.
Okay,
but
that's the first time I've ever seen myself win a point.
But look at this. Okay, so pausing it. Look what happens to this ball. Setting up. Man, I'm lined up. Oh, you see it bounce sideways?
That did bounce sideways.
Oh my gosh, look, lined up. Also, I'll point out, look at this. Look how far back you are.
Yeah.
Look how scared you were.
I was expecting you to just rip that.
That's right. Brent goes 2 feet off the line.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's not my fault. Anyone would have fell for that. That's unfortunate.
Me laughing at you there.
I did a lot of good work for nothing on that one. So skated away.
That might be the first point you guys have ever seen me win on this podcast.
It's hard to find them, but I do a favor for my co-host. So here's point number 2. I'm gonna start that over for us. Okay, Brent serving. We're happen to be on the same side. Not bad, Brent. Oh yeah, what a dink. Brent's working it. Okay. Caught me sliding there. What I am wondering,
Yeah.
why? Wait, what is it that like got you to like speed up there? What are we,
I saw you go.
you saw me
to
slide
cover
too hard middle?
Yeah. Yeah. Which was the right play if you're
For
playing.
me or for you? Like if I would have dinked right, you mean?
Yeah, you pushed me to the middle line there, I believe, when you dinked.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you covered middle too hard, almost like you were playing a real point versus a skinny singles point.
Yeah, okay.
So when you cover that far middle and like skinny, you leave that whole line open.
Yeah, I'm like covering nothing. I'm covering an out of bounds line.
You are covering out of bounds
essentially,
at that point.
which is kind of what happens when you dink straight. Like
Yeah.
if there was a real game too, like if I was dinking forward, I shouldn't have crashed so hard middle.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
I think you were expecting me to rip it down the middle as
I
well.
probably was. I was probably
Yeah.
loading up forehand or whatever.
You
so.
were, yeah. You were waiting.
Okay.
You were waiting. You were gonna try to counter the shit out of my speed up, and then I just
Usually happens.
did a
Brent
little
probably just learned
misdirect.
from all his counters. At this point, okay. All right, clip number 3. Same thing, but no, we were both on the right at some point.
look at that follow through on that serve, dude.
Look
That's
at that.
pretty
That
good.
looks freaking great,
That
doesn't
looks
it?
good.
Drop. Oh yeah. Okay, all right, you win this one, but can you see this? Look at what happens. Go for the forehand and that ball right there.
Oh yes.
You see how I'm distracted? You were cooked. I just wanted you to see that so you knew. So you knew.
You know, you called ball at that jokingly,
right
but
at
I
it.
stayed there. I was like, all right, that's fine with me. But
I
you did give
smiled,
me
but
the
there's-
point. You did give me the point. So I,
It's no
I
joke.
appreciate that.
Is it? Look how cooked he was. I'll play that one more time. Forehand
Yep.
smasher.
Boom.
Whap!
Schmack.
Okay, well, it was right into his
Okay,
backhand. But
yeah,
next time it's going to your
Uh-huh.
it's going to that spot right at the right of you. Just so we know for next time. Number 4 or 5 right here. Same side. Okay, this one I'm just working it. I'm not fine. I'm not quite there. Man, I gotta get it down. Get it down. Okay, that's clean. Oh, Brent's in trouble. And whew, slick. You see that?
That was
Let's
nice.
try another
That was a
angle
nice
here.
shot.
Check this out. Bounce it. Still clean. Whap. Brent's not expecting
Yeah, I was
it.
not expecting that.
Oh, clean by him. Look at that. Brent's leaving the left side open.
That was well played.
Don't anybody
You surprised
know-
the shit out of me with that rip from no man's land there.
Yeah, you better hope Aaron's not watching this. Watch this. Woo. You see that?
So I thought for sure you were
Get
trying to
outta
go. You were gonna rip it down the middle there,
Uh-huh.
and you did like I did. You just kind of rolled it right behind me.
Yeah, look.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Yeah,
smashed
I was
it. Yeah,
not
you
expecting
did.
it.
You were sliding middle there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, just you didn't expect that control from me or what?
I did not. I was expecting just raw power.
Damn, that was smooth.
That was smooth. That's
All
why
right.
I wasn't expecting it.
I don't know why he doesn't expect something that happens all the time. So this last one, this is game point. Got to show game point.
Game point. All right.
I imagine at this point it's neck and neck. I imagine Brent's up like 15-14 in a game to 11, or maybe like
Yeah.
16-15. It's been very close.
Yeah.
And no way was Brent running away
It's
with
been an
this.
hour-long skinny singles game at this point. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's accurate. Okay, Brent's serving. It's been back and forth. Here he goes. Not bad. Brent drops it. Whoa. All right. Look at you rob me of that Urian
was a good shot.
skinny
That was a
singles.
good
Look
shot.
at that. I
Boop.
jumped it.
Boop.
Oh, and I almost got it. I was like, for sure, I was like, yeah, I got it. And then Brent freaking wins for the final beer games of the foreseeable future. Goodness,
You
now he's
know,
smug. Look
you
at him.
know,
And what do you got to say for yourself, Brent?
I've never seen myself win so many points on film here.
I'm not.
Never seen it.
Why did I do? I thought it was more balanced than that.
It was like, what was that, 4 out of 5 for me?
In some way, I thought
Were
I
you
had
throwing me
put
a
more
bone
of
there?
my points in there. I'm gonna erase those and find ones that fit with what we said.
Oh,
and
nice.
Put those on there
Uh-huh,
next
uh-huh.
time. All right, so there's beer games this
I
week.
like
Brent
it.
wins again. Pick on someone your own size, Brent. Okay, let's get into some paddles.
Oh, yeah. I guess that is what we do on this podcast.
We do paddles.
Paddle reviews.
So we've got some new ones that Brent and I haven't talked about together yet. And before that, let's do a little Ripple update since that's coming out this week. Have you put much time into them? I know these aren't quite your style per se.
Yeah.
Have you put much time into them since we last talked about them?
I think I've hit them one more time since we last spoke, and I added a little bit of weight to both. For the R1, since it's so the swing weight is so high already. I did add, and I think it needs a little stability help.
Yeah.
I added a little bit of weight around the 4 and 8 o'clock position.
Okay.
To get just a little more like a bump in twist weight.
So you're saying like you're saying here?
Yeah, like around there, like I'd say maybe an inch
even
below
lower.
the curve, all the way to like the R or the O in Ronbus on the edge guard there. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay, so like here to here is what you're saying.
So maybe
roughly.
like 3-4 inches of 1 gram per inch lead.
Okay.
And for the R1, I did throw a little DIY flick weight on the bottom.
Yeah, for those who don't know, so I was going to share this. So this is what Brent is using, and he gave me some too. So this is nice. They're like just little Amazon jewelry.
They're like jewelry stainless steel metal blanks. Like people get them to like stamp earrings or stamp I don't know, little medallions or whatever. But they luckily are around 9 grams. Yeah, each of them.
They're 9. There's some variants. So like one of these is 9 and one of these is 10. Yeah, but they're very close.
They're somewhere between 9 and 10 generally.
Yeah.
There's
and then
a
what
few
do you
outliers.
use for your sticker here?
So that's also Amazon. It's just a little 3M circle adhesive, double-sided adhesive, and so I just stuck one side to the little the weight already, and then you just peel off that and stick it to the bottom.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if you did this already or not, so feel this. I was gonna have you. I wasn't sure if you had done this.
Jeez, this feels so damn.
Oh, Brent's struggling.
So head heavy.
Put this on and see what you feel. I'm curious if you feel the reduction that, or at least if you felt the difference I did. So this one is roughly, the weight is like 9 ounces or so.
Yeah, so we're talking 0.3 ounces.
Or sorry, yeah,
9 grams, 0.3 ounces.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's noticeable.
It is noticeable,
difference,
isn't it?
Right? Like, it still feels like a high swing weight paddle. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it feels noticeably lighter as far as, like, the ability to turn it over.
Yeah.
And to get through the ball.
I don't know why. I'm not 100% sure why. I can speculate as to why the flick weights work so well on these, the Ripples in particular.
Yeah.
But all 3 of them have, like, a particularly high balance point. The R1 and the R4, the elongated and hybrid, have like the high 240s. So both of them went down 9 points with a 9 gram weight on the butt cap, which is a huge drop. I haven't seen a drop in that much, in, I don't know, I guess I haven't like measured a ton at this point, but the ones that I have measured, it's the biggest drop so far. So I think if you're going to get the R1, I would say, and you want to add weight.
If you want to, and I think it needs it just for just a little stability help.
Yeah,
there.
I think it does. I think it does. So the weight on the butt end will counterbalance that a little.
Yeah.
And make it a little bit more manageable.
Yeah, but it's still going to be a heavier swing weight paddle. Like you're going to feel it. Like your arm might be sore. You might have some elbow issues if you're sensitive to that type of stuff. Yeah, if you are.
Not from vibrations, because they definitely dampen
not from vibrations,
but from weight itself.
Yeah.
So mine had a swing weight of 122, and it was the lightest of any swing weights that I've seen so far from any reviewer. I think Braden's at Pickleball Effect was the heaviest. His was like 128, which is nuts.
That is nuts.
I was like, wow, I don't know what I would think if mine was 128.
I bet that thing hits like a truck.
That thing's just like
serves
a freaking
and drives.
monster, I bet you. Gosh. But yeah, so my R1 and R4 went down 9 points with a 9 gram flick weight. The R2 went down 8 points with the 9 gram flick weight.
Wow.
I include all this in like my more detailed review that I'll have out. I think I'll probably launch it on. I don't know. I'll have it in time for the launch.
Before we leave for the nerdy tourney.
Yeah, it'll be out there.
Yeah, which is in like 3 days.
It is
4 days, 3 days.
That came up so fast.
Dude,
and I'm moving, so things have been so quick, packed around here. I cut open the V2. I wanted you to feel this, Brent. Tell me. So here's the V2. I don't think there's any like a ton of like carbon fiber slivers in there.
The V1 feeling really squishy.
I'm just gonna break this off.
That poor Ronbus handle.
Brent says V1, and what he means is beta, right?
Yes, beta. Yes. When I say V1, I mean not the V2, pretty much. The previous
beta that
iteration.
Most people have. So this is the production model that came out in January. I don't think you've hit this one.
No, I did not hit the production model.
Yeah, that was the one that was going to launch, and then this is the beta. So I cut the face off all these, right? And the general structure is relatively the same, and I'll go more into depth in my review, but Brent's feeling these. I'm curious, Brent, if you're feeling any tactile difference in the foam itself. I have yet to measure density on these, but grossly speaking, I think they're about the same.
Yeah.
Like there's really no difference. I'll like cut them. These are nice because they're kind of thick. You can cut them with the bandsaw into really nice squares, so you can measure length with height. I don't have to use my graduated cylinders for volume. Yeah, it was because that's kind of a pain.
We're in chemistry lab. Yeah,
Yeah,
they all do feel
They feel the
pretty
same.
similar. Yeah.
So I talked to Dong when on the phone call. That was one question: is if anything changed with the foam itself.
Yeah.
And he said no. He's like nothing's changed at all with the foam.
Yeah.
Nothing's changed with the carbon fiber lattice as far as the component itself. The heating, anything like that, it should all be the same. It's more about, where the lattice is and how far it extends. So looking at the beta core, it's kind of covers the middle. Like the middle, I don't know, majority of the face. So that one's the beta, the one that's got the handle still on it.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they fall apart when you cut them apart. And then if you go to the one that was going to release in January, they extended it up further in the face.
Yeah.
That was because like the edge got squishy up at the top. Kind
Yeah,
of
they had some
issue.
edge guard issues
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
And then the new V2s extend also not only top,
Yeah, it extends
further out. It extends down as well. So
Yeah.
it pretty much goes the whole thing. And one interesting thing, I wasn't sure I was going to share this today and leave it for my review, but so Dong essentially told me on my phone call that the more, after he got his own test and he's working with US EPA and whatever, the more squishy it was at any point, the higher the PB core number was. And that may
It's
make
more
sense.
rebound
Yeah,
effect.
it's more rebound.
Yeah.
So if they can extend that lattice, if they can make it stiffer, at least in this particular paddle, the PB core goes down. So
yeah. And you
as-
feel that in the V2 versus the beta as well. It feels
Yeah.
a little stiffer
It does.
from the,
Yeah,
on
yeah.
the face.
It does. Yeah.
Not as much like dwell feeling. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why the swing weights go up as you go from the beta to that January version to now as you're adding more carbon fiber lattice, which is heavy.
Gotcha.
Just
Yeah.
like the Pulse series. The X was heavier
Yeah.
because it has more proportionate carbon fiber, in those tubules. And it was interesting that the PB core numbers, they test them per spot. And the lower on the face that they went in that January version that ended up getting delisted,
Yeah.
the PB core number was higher. And it's like clear why.
Because there's
more
less
squishy
lattice,
down there.
yeah.
So he extends the lattice further down. He's like, cool. Like we're good. It's the same. Everything else is the same. The lattice is the same, which totally encompasses those channels. The foam's the same, whatever. But now we've covered all the spots that this test tests.
Yeah.
And we should be good to pass. So, anyways, there we have. Also, I did some speed measurements. Again, the details of which I include in my review. But on the same day with the same, balls in the same atmosphere, I went and tested speed and RPMs for the V2 ripples, the beta. I only have the beta R2. Yeah, because
standard shape.
that's
Yeah.
my beta long
Yeah.
one
Mhm.
and my January long one.
You should have cut the the R2 up. Don't desecrate the R1 shape.
Oh man, well yeah,
Cut
but
those standard
but
wide body
in
ones.
January they were only releasing the elongated one. So if I would have cut the short one, it would not have been like for comparative purposes. It wouldn't have
okay.
been a long one. So
see.
I needed to cut open the beta to prepare to compare.
That's fair.
Directly.
Yeah.
Although
apples
the one
to
I,
apples. Yeah.
although the one that I cut open here was the R2 as well. So I guess it wouldn't have been so bad. I tested it side by side, the YOLOs and the beta R2 and whatever. So the highest drive speed of all of them is the R1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's not surprising.
Yeah, and that's how we felt
Mhm.
in gameplay.
I'm glad that lines up because subjectively we were like, these hit harder than the Yola Perseus Pro 4s.
Yeah,
So I'm glad it bared that out in the data as well.
Pull it up here real quick, but essentially, let's see. The V2 R1.14, 61.4 miles an hour. The Yola, and then the Yola Pro 4, 60 millimeter, was 60.6.
Okay.
And that's not comparing necessarily to the beta R1 because I don't have one to test on the same day, so
Yeah.
it wasn't available for testing. But it was higher than the Yola Pro 4 Perseus, and then the V2 R4, the Yola Pro 4 14, and then the V2. I might as well just put these all on screen so I don't have to read them all. But
Yeah.
that's kind of the order in which they went. The beta R2 Ripple was the lowest. Zoom in there so you can see
Okay.
that there. But they're all between, the lowest was that beta R2 at 59.7.
Yeah, when you're using a standard shape paddle, it is hard to generate as much power as like an elongated, but
even
it's
still,
holding its
closing in
own
on 60
there.
is like,
Yeah,
holy shit.
that is.
And that V2, I think that miles per hour, that may be like the highest I've ever recorded.
That's booking it, man. 61.4 is a solid.
It's pretty
serve.
fast.
Yeah,
it is fast, and it is pretty effortless as well. The proportionate amount of energy you have to put into the swing versus the velocity is very high, and that does kind of track with what we had said and felt in gameplay. So
because there's quite a few reviewers out there that said they didn't think it was as powerful as the Pro 4 series, and we were like, we hit them side by side, and it felt clearly
so peculiar.
hotter.
It wasn't even close.
Yeah.
So I don't know if there's maybe some manufacturer variance or why that is.
Yeah, and we had a lighter R1 is the thing. So
yeah, we do have a lighter R1, so it should hit softer.
It should hit softer.
It should hit softer.
On a
and
serve or a drive.
Relatively unbroken in versus the YOLO Pro 4 16 and the 14.
Yeah, I used the Pro 4 16 Perseus to train for PPA. So I put lots of hours on that.
Yeah, there's lots of hours on that. So you would think that was kind of like max power. Yeah, that was hitting. But anyways,
well, I'm glad that we are vindicated.
Yeah, at least for this.
At least for the paddles that we got.
I can speak for other people's subjective analysis, which is totally valid. And maybe they might have something different about their paddles. I don't know.
Maybe their swings are different too. I don't know. But I feel like our swings are reasonably different as well. Like mine's more tennis style, long, fluid. Yours is more.
You're getting there, Brent.
Yours is more.
You're getting smooth. Sure. Yeah, you're getting there. So that's what we have for the Ripple updates. That'll be launching this Friday. I'll have a review out by then. So let's move on. So let's do the Holbrooks. So I think how I'd like to do this, Brent, since I'm in charge. Let's look at the X-ray and talk about a couple of things, and then let's look at the. So I did dissect one here. I cut open my Holbrook ARMA. The carbon fiber T, which is the one with the slightly longer handle versus the X, and look at some of the things in the X-ray versus the core, and then talk about how they play as well. So also, I made a post on the Discord, the gear, portion of it, asking if I was like, hey, is there any radiologists or radiology techs that want to talk paddles with me?
So I need an X-ray.
I spoke to like a radiologist. I spoke to like an internal medicine doctor, and thank you both for talking with me. So this is really awesome. I had some really cool talks from people like speaking the language.
You were nerding out so hard.
I was like, oh yes, this is so great.
Medicine and pickleball.
Yeah, I was like, I have some ideas, and here's my thoughts. Like, is this?
I have to do this podcast with this fake doctor, and like, God, it's so refreshing to get to talk to actual doctors.
He's not. He doesn't use information.
He just argues with insurance all day.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's our X-ray of the ARMA. I believe this is the ARMA T. This is from Matt's Pickleball. So thanks for sharing, Matt.
Thanks, Matt.
Matt Curry from Matt's Pickleball. So a few things here. So obviously he's got some unique core structure.
It does.
We've got our super large cells here. Yeah. And then you've got a smaller, cell size in the periphery here, and then a giant,
that is a giant ring of foam,
here, right?
Yeah. Is this the first paddle that I know of that incorporates different size cells in the core?
Okay. It is, and not only that, but so this is a 14 millimeter thick paddle that is using a larger cell size, larger than the standard 8 millimeter.
I think that's a good combo if you're going to go 14 to have a larger cell size to give a little more plusher feel.
Yeah, it kind of counterbalances that in a way. So let's look at a few things here. So first thing, so if you look at this foam, other than noting it's thick, you'll see kind of this area in between the foam. So a bunch of interface things. So where things meet, right? Yeah. So if you look at the foam.
Junctions,
if you junctions, will. Sure. Yeah. Says the pharmacist. Mm-hmm. So we've got
lots of junctions in the body, too. I don't know what pharmacist would know that.
Yeah.
Weird.
So there's this area of brightness, that goes between the foam and the polypropylene core here. Mm-hmm. You call this like hyperdense or extra bright. So as the X-rays, travel through objects, if it gets absorbed, it shows up brighter. Okay. And more dense things show up brighter. So for some reason, you'll see here that like the foam has a particular, shade, a particular density that shows up. And then right at the edge of the foam, it's a little bit more bright. So there's something on the edge that runs this periphery of the foam here. And that's why it's so white. It doesn't look like it matches quite the shape as like the honeycombs. Yeah. Like it's not like it's just like meeting the edges of the honeycomb per se. Like you can see portions of it that are much longer than a honeycomb cell would be. So I'll show you in a minute what it looks like on the actual cut open cell, but that's because this is enclosed in a carbon fiber, wrap.
Yeah.
And as it kind of runs from front face to back face, it absorbs more. That's an area of like really dense, edge carbon fiber wrapping there. So that foam is enclosed in kind of a tube, so to speak. Kind of like Pickleball Apes like.
Yeah,
only
I was gonna
giant.
say. Yeah.
And it is, and it looks very similar. So another thing. So let's look at the interface between the larger cell size and the smaller cells up at the top.
Yeah, 10 to 8 junction.
You can see clear breaks, so they don't
Yes.
connect.
Yeah,
it's not like they were just like put on the same sheet.
It's very odd
here.
to me. It looks weird.
Yeah, it
Looks
does. So
weird.
like, not only are they not touching, so it's basically like they cut. It looks like they cut 2 separate sheets and layered them over top, which I don't know that that's necessarily bad per se, but then you got like these little fragments here that are kind of straying,
just hanging out,
and
yeah.
they're not particularly like straight. They're kind of askew,
Yeah.
right? So this area, this junction here, kind of makes me think like, okay, we're not full cylinders. We got some stray pieces. Like, what's that going to do when it's been hit with a ball a bunch of times? And we'll talk about how they play and how you felt.
Yeah.
But at least for me, I'm not sure that I felt the difference in cell size per se, but I did feel like the sweet spot is right about there.
It is.
I would say like right at the junction. So that's where you're going to be like hitting the ball a ton in an area that may not be like circumferentially strong in the cells at this junction.
Yeah.
Which is almost kind of like a domino effect. When one fails, then the next is weaker, and the next is weaker.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, if that's going to be the area that's getting the most abuse, the integrity of the cells there, at least just on x-ray, we don't know what's going to happen in the future.
Speculating a little.
We're speculating, but just on x-ray, it looks like that will be the spot that you wouldn't want the paddle to get hit a lot.
Yeah.
It doesn't look as healthy right there. The core doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah, and I know, I mean, I heard they're not super concerned about it.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean a whole lot to me, per se, that the producer of this paddle is not concerned.
Yeah.
So here's the most interesting thing that you'll see here. So you can zoom in on a number of cells. I'll just pick one. I'll zoom in here. So you can see like a perimeter of hyperdense or bright, circumference here, a circle. That's a cell. That's a honeycomb cell. But like there's these extra little pieces.
What is that?
Right? Like what the hell?
Yeah.
You've got a circle here and you've got a circle here, but what's this extra piece? Well, like that means that the X-rays are being absorbed in that spot, right? That they're not being able to pass through. Something's in the way. And that happens not just in any particular cell, it happens in most of the cells and not always in the same direction, right?
Yeah, it's most
a lot
of the
times
cells.
it's down. Yeah. See, it's almost like there's 2 separate cells here.
It is.
It
Like
goes
they're
up.
overlapping almost. Yeah.
So, and then this one here, you see it's like kind of poking down here.
Yeah.
This other one, like maybe I'll just go randomly here. It's like they're overlapping here and then there, and then you see like if you look at the side, maybe it's like bowing in this way right here, right?
Yeah.
So, when you look at like grossly, if you look at a paddle, so I'll show you here. I'll put this on screen here so you know what we're looking at. But we've got the Yola mod here. So take a look down. If you do a top-down look into those cells, where this core is compressed is closer to the opposite face of where you're looking.
Yeah.
See how they're kind of like bowed out?
It kind of looks like that,
at the bottom. So I'll put another image on screen here. This is what a normal non-compressed core looks like as compared to this mod. You can kind of see how they bow out
You
at
can,
the bottom,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You don't have to cut it in half to see that there's a crease in it. You can
like
look down from the top.
The bottom portion of the cell looks like it got squished.
Right.
It looks like it compressed down and it kind of
laterally
out.
or sideways squishes out.
Yep.
And so you can imagine that if you did an X-ray and you were trying to pass particle beams through that, right, they would catch.
Yeah.
And that's what I think these little, outcroppings are here.
Could be.
They're absorptions. They're not quite as much as the whole column, which are the main circles here, but that's kind of what these outcroppings are. One of the folks I was talking to mentioned the possibility that if this was off axis, right, if this was tilted, like maybe you could get a image that looks kind of like skewed almost.
Sure.
Right? But then you would see it the same in all the cells, not just like here and there and then maybe a different direction in others that aren't the same as that one. They should be uniform.
Yeah.
No matter
it
what.
wouldn't be like
They'd
seemingly
be off,
random.
But they'd be uniform. Yeah, right. But you can see here that they're kind of like they're not uniform. Some are going down, some are going sideways or whatever. So that kind of leads me to like say this is
a little
arguing
compression
in favor
there.
of some compression and some deformities. So I think those are the kind of the most significant findings via X-ray.
Yeah.
Right. So then
I feel like I was just on rounds and a radiologist was explaining, all right, you see this opacity in this left lower lobe of the lung?
Yeah,
this is what this means.
Look at this hyperdense opacity.
Yeah.
There's some lucency here.
Yeah.
Thanks for your help, guys. So I did. So I ended up, I couldn't resist. I cut one open myself. And then I'll show this. There's a number of things to appreciate here, and I'll put this image on screen. So if you look at this, Brent, the foam. First off, if you look at the foam around the edge, it's just this huge chunk of white foam.
It's a big ring.
It's a big old ring of white foam.
If you look at the mod's ring, there.
And the mod already has kind of a big ring of foam too.
Yeah.
Compared to the Proton, which is like just a sliver of foam.
Yeah.
And it's squishy. It feels the same as the other white foam.
Oh, very squishy.
Right. It's very squishy, right? It's very reboundy.
Yes.
And then I actually like the way that the face came off on this because it didn't pull off all the little pieces. So like if you look your top right,
a lot of the carbon fiber is still attached.
That's the tubular.
They're wrapping it in.
Yep, it wraps it in, and then it kind of ducks down in between that and the honeycombs, and that's where you get that line of brightness, that hyperdense area, because it can't travel through once that carbon fiber starts running front to back. It's too thick for the X-rays to pass through and it gets absorbed.
See.
And then if you look at the core, so we know already there's different cell sizes, but they looked giant to me.
They do. They look really big.
Yeah. In fact,
the supposed 10 millimeter cell
size. Yeah, would you say 10 millimeters? Yeah.
That's looks pretty big.
Those are not 10 millimeters, actually. So I measured them.
Oh, did you?
Those are 12 millimeter size.
Oh.
Yeah, which I don't know if that is deliberate or not, because I was told when I talked to them that they were making or intended to make 10 millimeters. That could have just been like a miscommunication.
Yeah.
But that's what everybody is saying, and it's not correct. So
what
those are 12.
Are these 8 up here?
Let's measure that right now, actually. Okay. So this one here, measuring this cell. So this is like 7.6 for that one.
Okay.
That's fine. That's like a normal variance, I'd say. 7.6 again for that one. And I'm measuring like middle wall to middle wall. 7.6 again, yes, that's pretty consistent.
We'll say 8.
It's roughly 8.
Pretty
that's
close.
Fine. Yeah, it's close enough.
But
so we got 12 and then 8, not 10 then 8. We got these freaking honking cells.
They are. They're big.
I spoke to Justin about it, and I was like, 12? and that's measuring like parallel wall to parallel wall.
Yeah.
If you measure like from corner to corner of those like octagon shaped.
Yeah. What are you getting?
1,
Like 14?
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6-sided cells, not octagon.
Hexagon?
You get like, whatever it is. Bail me out, Brent.
The pharmacist correct the physician over here like we always do.
All right. There's no hexagon-shaped cells in the emergency department. Anyways, it's like closer to 13, over 13. So, but parallel, it's 12.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I spoke to Justin from Pickleball Texture about it, and I'm like, hey, is there any paddles like that, like deliberately out there? And he's like, yeah, there's been a lot that's been tried, and they've all had durability issues. It's too wide.
Yeah.
From what he's seen, he's like, I've tried to develop some myself, and they've all had problems. And that's not to say that these won't.
Right.
I mean, or that's not to say that these will necessarily.
Right.
We can't say.
Again,
but
speculation, educated guesses.
Yeah,
here.
based on experience, they haven't done well so far.
Right.
Another thing. So, let's see. There's some particular points here. So, looking at the X-ray, we were looking at parts that might have been compressed. This is not the same exact paddle.
I was looking to see if I could see if it looks similar to the Yola with the compressed core.
Yeah. So you can see there's some obvious areas here. If you see that, like the side, the foam expands and mashes those edge cells in. Yeah. That's not a huge deal. That's actually
that's pretty far away.
It's moderately common.
Yeah.
That's not too uncommon. So if I see like some, like pre-crushed cells in the edge, not a big deal. Who cares? It's not going to affect propulsion too much. But there were a few like I identified, like particularly if you look at, let's see, where are we? In this paddle, the compression, so in the mod you looked at, the compression was kind of far side of the face from where you're looking. These in the 8 millimeter cells are closer to the front.
Okay.
So like if you look over in this area, you can see it's not as pronounced as the mod, but it's kind of crunched down a little bit closer to the top, just a little bit bowed. I would say if I were to go mild, moderate, or, extreme, I would say mild. It's not huge.
It's not. It's really hard to see. Which is weird. Well, but this isn't the paddle that got X-rayed. I was like, well, why are we seeing so much like concerning for compression in this X-ray? But it's really hard to see in this paddle. Yeah. So maybe that paddle just
and a top-down view is sort of hard. Yeah, this particular paddle may have had a lot, and there could be some variance in like the settings and whatnot. So like, let alone the propensity or the predisposition for like Gen 3, for whatever reason, floating cores to crush on their own. You've got a little bit of like core, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe some very mild stuff. I don't know. If it was only cells that looked like that, I'd be like, man, I don't know. But the fact that you've got like different cell sizes here, different cell sizes there, and then a huge floating ring there, it's just kind of a guessing game right now.
Is that so? Like, if you're looking at it this angle, right near the top, is that from you prying it off like that?
Nope.
Those like kind of what looks to be compressed near the top there.
And
are you seeing what I'm seeing there?
Yeah.
Or?
Nope. Those are not from me. So
Okay.
the only place I pried on any of these paddles are down by the handle, and then I just
down
pull.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Our anesthesiologists and other like folks who intubate, you know, can relate this to like intubating with teeth, like not prying against the teeth, as you go in.
Yeah.
That's kind of like how you have to do these cells. It's like you don't want to pry against the cells because then you can compromise the cells in your assessment and whatever. It's not teeth, but it's the same concept here. You just kind of gotta like pull back instead of like leveraging per se. That's how you pull that off there.
Yeah, I'm seeing more like what would look to be like some compression near the top of these cells right here. If you're looking at it from that angle there. Yeah.
So actually, once you looked at this, I was gonna even here I can see it from this angle. It's like quite compressed. I was gonna cut this right now and take a look. You want to see what it looks like?
Sure.
Cut real quick. I'm gonna cut this real quick. All right, we're back. We just cut it open. Actually, I haven't looked at this yet.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh well. Yeah. Okay. So you can see down at the handle, like here's our two segments that are closest to the handle. Yeah. So it's not super far up. I don't think this is like a super huge area of concern, but I'll show some images there. You can take a look at those, Brent. Those are, I don't know, I would say maybe like
they're a little bowed.
Mildly, yeah, they're
little bowed out.
Sure. It's not huge. And again, this is like, not like we're not having gotcha moments. We're like doing some discovery here. So.
Yeah. This is our first time
like
seeing the actual cross section.
And then looking up top, so this is interesting. So looking at these top segments, like it's almost like this half is compressed a bit on one side, and then the other half is compressed a bit like on the bottom side. It's like they kind of alternate. Next section down, it's not horrible, but still you got like a little bit of compression there. You know, I'm not sure if I would like be super convinced that this is, you know, by itself, if this was the only thing that I saw, that this would be like destined for failure per se.
But there is definitely some bowing there, and I just don't know how common that is amongst paddles.
Yeah, to be fair, I think this will be interesting to see what happens in a month or 2 months or 3 months and 5 months or whatever after this releases, to see what people have to say about the crunching, that if they do or don't feel in the core, because I really don't know how bad that's going to be with all the other components, because this is kind of the first time we've had this multiple cell sizes with this huge foam ring. So we'll see.
I think, I don't know if Justin was saying this or if Lewis was saying it on his last pod, that he talked to the Holbrook owner, and something around the foam perimeter. They were saying something about how everything was so tight in there that it was going to help prevent some of the core crushing.
Oh, interesting.
I could be misremembering that, but they were saying
that's interesting.
I think that's logic. What the owner may have said. Again, could be misremembering.
Who knows? I don't know.
Justin seemed a little worried about the cores.
Yeah, Justin thinks this is destined for failure. That's basically based on our talks. So in all reality, I don't know. Yeah. Just if I'm going to be completely
time will tell.
honest.
Yeah, it's kind of like with the ripples. Like time will tell on what happens to
the break
to the ripples, break in.
Whatever, so.
I mean, obviously the ripple doesn't have that polypropylene core in there.
Yeah, it's a totally different concept.
It is. Yeah, but as far as like, is the ripple going to heat up beyond recognition like the originals did? Is this Holbrook going to break down because of this potential core, new core innovation they're trying? Only
knows?
time will tell.
Yeah,
we don't know.
We'll see.
Yeah.
What do you think of how they played, Brent?
Oh man, what's the one with the longer handle?
That's the T.
The T.
Yeah, think of, so for the people are going to be confused by this. So
Yes.
they have two elongated models, the T and the X, and they have a standard version which neither of us had.
No.
So the T, think of it like a T's got a long handle.
Okay.
Right.
All right.
That's the ARMA T.
I can get on board
The
with that.
X the X is not for extended handle. The X has the longer face.
That's why I'm so confused. X to me sounds like longer handle.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to guess.
Actually, I like this is the X, so it has a shorter handle, but it has
5.25, I think.
an extended
handle.
face.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like that style. One, I can't get two hands on it for a two-handed backhand. I tried it, and I hate my hands overlapping.
You must overlap to do that.
And I hate that. So that was a no-go for me. I felt so uncomfortable with it for that fact alone. I can't do any handle under 5.5. Like, that's just kind of a hard stop for me.
Tennis guy here, folks.
I got big mitts, and so I need space. And so I did not like the
the
X
5.5
version of any of them because of the 5.25 inch handle. So I had this one as well, the metallic X. Again, not for me, because
that's
of the handle.
That's my favorite one, just for the record.
Yeah, that's Dustin's favorite.
That's my favorite one.
I can't use it because of the handle. And I had the carbon fiber, the Arma T, I believe. Longer handle.
Yep, that's correct.
Carbon fiber face on
That's
it,
right.
not the metallic.
Brent's doing well. Nice job, Brent. Good job.
Yeah,
Keep
thanks,
going.
man. I enjoyed that one, with caveats, right? I like the longer handle. I like the carbon fiber face. We've talked about this before on the pod. I tend to hit high center on my shots, which is right at that 10 or I guess 12 millimeter to 8 millimeter junction,
Large to small, yes.
and the 8 millimeter to that giant foam ring junction. That's typically where I hit. You cut the paddle in half multiple times, but for this one, like, I tend to hit, like here.
Brent's barely getting to the
all
ball.
the way up
He's
here.
barely getting there.
I'm getting close to the edge guard a lot when I hit.
Near,
So
you call these near misses.
yeah, I'm very sensitive to sweet spots that drop off up high, like the Paddle Tech TKO.
That's correct. Yes.
So for me, hitting that high was a tale of kind of two different feels. Sometimes I'd hit that 10/12 to 8 junction, and it would honestly feel pretty good. It would give me a little bit of a softer feel for a 14 millimeter because it's hitting those giant 12 millimeter cell cores.
Yeah.
And it would kind of pop off pretty well on that. When I would hit slightly higher, I kind of got a different feeling because I'm hitting the 8 millimeter cell core.
So you're saying you felt the difference?
I did.
So, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then sometimes I'd hit really high and hit lots of foam, and that would feel much different.
So Brent's
as
good
well.
enough to feel core differences.
Feel the core difference because I hit way too high on the paddle. Is the thing.
He jokes, but really he does always hit very peripherally, out on the distance.
Yeah.
The distal end, the far end of the paddle all the time. So
all the time.
Right at all those junctions, Brent's always hitting there.
I'm always hitting there. So I feel like if these were going to break, it would be from someone like me that just pounds that area all the time.
Yeah.
So for me, I think the difference in that I could feel was enough to make it not be consistent enough for me. It's consistent enough in like feel and response for me.
Interesting.
When I would hit a little bit lower, like high center, as in like still in the sweet spot in the large cell stuff, that did feel good. I like that. Because it had a little bit of a softer feel for a 14.
Yeah.
But when I got a little higher, I wasn't as big of a fan there. I thought it had pretty good pop on it.
I definitely thought so as well, yeah.
I think the plow through power was okay. I think it needs a little bit of weight to make the plow through a little bit better. But
you're talking about the T specifically?
The T specifically, yeah. The elongated with the longer handle. I think stock, I'd probably put the power and the plow through like all court, maybe all court leaning power, probably all court. Weighted up, I'd probably put it in that like closer to all court leaning power category.
For plow through?
For plow through power.
But pop, you're saying, sounds like you're implying power.
Yeah. I would put it up there.
Like the C45-ish kind of.
Yeah.
High pop-ish plow through is what you're saying.
I think, that's a pretty apt comparison as far as just power and pop numbers. Not a ton of dwell It is 14 millimeter.
Definitely not.
I prefer a higher dwell paddle, so not a lot. So the launch angle is a bit lower, in line with like most 14s. It does feel a little softer than most 14s, but that launch angle and that lower dwell is low, which is kind of in line with most 14s. I'd say maneuverability was decent as well, but you know, at the end of the day, probably not the paddle for me, just based on where
Brent likes a high dwell, you know, that pulse type feel, an absorbent type paddle. This is not it. For that kind of
not
a feel.
for that. Yeah.
So I saw on the Discord a lot of people kind of going back and forth about, you know, soft versus stiff versus dwell time versus whatever. Like I said on the last pod, if you kind of make this one directional about if it's soft versus stiff, that might not describe it all. Particularly, I thought for the metallic ones.
The metallic was softer feeling for sure. Yeah.
The face materials are one thing. The amount that the face, the thickness of the paddle as a whole compresses as the core moves. It all kind of comes together for this, like, you know, soft versus stiff thing that may make people put it into a bucket that it might not belong. So, like, I think that the metallic, the face feels soft, but it doesn't absorb really high.
Right.
So it kind of like it has a low dwell time, so it comes off quick. But I think the metallic in particular kind of has a soft initial feel. So some people might say soft, some people might say stiff. But one thing's for sure, it doesn't suck in to the paddle face very much.
Yes.
I do agree the launch angle is low because it comes off so fast. Like where you aim it is where it's going to go. So like your YOLO 16s users and your Pickleball Apes users who are used to kind of like the ball holding on there for like a fraction of a second longer, you probably need to aim a little bit higher.
Yeah, I dumped my first few in the net as far as drabs with these paddles.
I bet you did. What else is new?
That's par for the course. Yeah.
Right. This, and watch for that tree, Pete, as we go throughout the day. But man, these things are loud. They're like boom, boom, boom. The sound that comes off their face. I really like it. I don't care about being quiet, you know, when I play. I wonder if it's like the larger 12 millimeter cell size that kind of makes the noise like echo in those cells that make it louder. I'm not quite sure. Another thing that I'm just kind of looking at here now that we've cut it open, even though the foam on the perimeter is enclosed in carbon fiber, it's still like you can see here as I try and pull it apart, it's still adhered. Like it's expanded so far that it's kind of bellowing in to the open cells at its perimeter there.
Yeah.
So I wonder if those like kind of break free and get a little bit looser, that this is going to have a little bit of a break-in period.
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be changes. There's so many. There's
so
like,
too.
I mean, you could just count like, oh, like that perimeter, that junction. Oh, the like slight compression, the this, the that, the whatever. Like there's so many areas that say like, oh, it could change here, that I think it probably will.
Yeah, if it doesn't break in, I'd be very surprised, just because of all the variables that exist in that core.
And that's not necessarily bad. It could break in a good way, per se.
Like an Apes.
Yeah,
like
it really could, which I would like. I would like if it got a little bit more dwelly, but
yeah.
I thought that these were super fun to play with. Oh, well, okay. I liked the X. The X I thought was really fun to play with. I thought it was significantly more stable. I don't care about the super long handle. I'll overlap my hands and get the job done. I thought it was, because of that extra weight, I thought it was significantly more stable. And I do like that metallic feel because it's like 14. It's already a little more on the stiff side. I thought it gave it that extra softness that it needed. And that was the first one I played with. So I was like, oh, yeah, this is special. This is really cool. And then when I played with the T, it did remind me a lot of the Paddletech TKO CX in the regard that, like, yeah, it's really poppy, but it's really unstable. So I think they need some weight. But overall, the big takeaways for me are, who knows what's going to happen with this paddle in the future as far as durability. But I do think they're going to sell a lot at first.
It's an interesting concept.
It is interesting.
And
they're fun to play with, I thought. Particularly if you like high pop. I do disagree with you, though, Brent. I thought that the drive speed was high.
Yeah? Okay.
I was able to produce like pretty good power off it, particularly the X, because it has a little bit more mass. Maybe I was just me, but I was able to get good leverage off of that long handle of the T.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm not sure what you were struggling with.
You're stronger than me. You know?
Probably. That is probably it. Maybe you were like having a lot of dad duty that day and like carrying kids. I'm
Maybe
not quite
so.
sure,
Maybe so.
but I did think drive speed was high as well.
Okay.
But, you know, regardless, it's at least... I thought in both drive speed and pop it was in the power category. But, like, without a doubt, pop is in the power category. Yeah. And surprisingly for a Gen 3, I felt like the power to effort like ratio was a little bit more linear than I would expect. Mm-hmm. So it's not like, oh, I put in 50% effort, I get 50% result.
Yeah.
Then 75, I get 100. It was like pretty much I got what I put in.
Mm-hmm.
So predictable power, I thought. Loud sound, very unique and interesting feel. If these do end up being very durable, I think they're going to be very high-end paddles.
I think so too. I play with them stock. As far as the ARMA T, so the carbon fiber longer handle one, I thought it was relatively stable feeling. I didn't feel like it was too unstable.
God,
honestly.
Brent's off today.
Yeah, I'm just kidding. I think I am. Yeah, I put in my notes like relatively stable without weight. I don't know. Maybe that's just a me thing. I'm usually all on board with adding weight for stability, but I did and I probably would. I add weight to every paddle pretty much, unless it's just super heavy stock. But I didn't think it was like a necessity, like a C45 or anything like that.
It's like you have to have it or it's shit.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, these are going to release on June 10th.
Mm-hmm.
I think the metallic one, I'll have to double check. I'll put it on screen here. One of them is going to be $280. I think it's the metallic one. The shininess will run you an extra $20. Mm-hmm. You can take 10% off with the channel's discount code. I think the carbon fiber one is $20 less. I think that one is $260. Those are just numbers off the top of my head. There's been a lot of paddles pushing $300 lately.
Yeah. All these Gen 3s, well, not all of them, but a lot of the Gen 3s are pushing up to that $300
you know when
mark.
People will pay them.
Yeah.
People will pay them.
Mm-hmm.
Would you pay it?
Not for this one. No, I would not pay $300 for that.
To be fair,
it's a 14, so like it's already kind of taken a mark for me there, and just where I hit the ball, it was a little too much variability for me.
If it weren't for all my concerns, I think probably would.
You would,
but
okay.
Even though it does kind of go against what I usually like, I like the X enough that I probably would.
I mean, that's the wrong choice, but you know.
It's about time we kick Brent out of here.
You want a short handle, longer face.
Are you going to miss out on this paddle?
I think a lot of people will like this paddle. Mm-hmm. Durability is my concern with this, for sure.
People are going to be out there playing with broken ones anyway.
Oh,
what do they care?
Well, they're already loud as shit, so when you actually crush it, you're not going to be able to tell much difference. Maybe that was the design.
That's very fair. Okay, let's move on, Brent. So this is going to be Brent's Fuerte here. So this is the new cousin paddle to Brent's longtime main, the Pulse X, Pulse, S, and a paddle that I made for quite a bit too, the Pulse V, before I destroyed it.
Also the wrong choice.
Brent, damn it, Brent. So this is the Harmony series. I'll show that here. We've got same three shapes. Not the Harmony series.
Not the Harmony.
Also not Pickleball Apes, but that's coming up. So we've got the Harmony X. I showed these a little bit last week. So this is the elongated version. We've got the Harmony V. That's the wide body version here. And the Harmony S. That's the standard. So these are all the same shapes as the...
S is the hybrid.
Oh, what did I say?
Standard.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, S is for hybrid.
Yeah, that is confusing.
Not standard.
Yeah.
Wide body, standard, whatever. That's the V. Wide body, as Ivan would say. A number of notable differences here. So this is a carbon fiber face, not Kevlar.
Yep.
The core is different. You'll see on some review channels, somebody has mentioned the core. I've been told not to mention it. I'll mention it in due time. Whatever. So we'll just talk about playability today.
We want to remain in Ivan's good graces.
Gravy. Anyways, so this is not a replacement anymore. Originally, it was a replacement.
Yeah.
But this is the addition to the Pulse series. The idea was that Ivan wanted to create something that didn't have quite the break-in that people would experience or chase or not want or whatever with the Pulse series.
To be honest, we all chased the break-in.
Brent sure
of
as
the
hell
Pulse
did.
series.
Pretty much freaking got it.
I feel like
with every
90% of
paddle you
people
had.
chase the break-in.
I'm
of
not
the
sure
Pulse.
that I've heard so many people hit the break-in with every single freaking Pulse paddle they've had, except for you, even especially the X. But
yeah.
so these have a different core design.
Mm-hmm.
All in all, though, the exact same shapes. I've played. I gravitated more towards the X in the series, the elongated, and that's probably because I just chose to do so.
Okay.
I liked the Pulse X. Like, I originally started with the Pulse V.
Yeah.
The Pulse S maybe very briefly was one of my top of the series. And then I liked the X for its power. So for this one, I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do the X. And I'm going to try and break it in and see what I can get with it. So I've put the most time on the elongated X here. And so most of my thoughts will be in regards to that. But I do think that the general trends are transmissible to all the different shapes. I think it's pretty much kind of the differences are the same between the shapes.
Yeah.
What do you think of this series, Brent?
Yeah, so I had high hopes for this one. That's not to say I was disappointed, but it does feel a little different than the Pulse.
Yeah, it is not the same. It's not a lighter Pulse.
It's not a lighter Pulse.
It's not a lighter Pulse. It is different.
It is. Once we're allowed to say what the difference is as far as like core construction,
It's not even damn close to the same. It's not even close. It's totally. I change that. Okay, it's totally different. It's totally different core.
Yeah. So earlier today, we played, and I was able to play quite a few games with the Harmony X, my broken in Pulse X, and a non-broken in Pulse X that I also own. And was able to kind of get a more of a side-by-side comparison. So today was actually my first day hitting the Harmony X. And I will say, to me, the difference that I felt immediately was like the feel of the ball coming off the paddle.
That is a huge difference.
It is.
Go on.
So
it's important.
A broken in Pulse X and a non-broken in Pulse X, they both feel a little softer and more pocketing of the ball versus the Harmony X.
That's really the Pulse thing, right? Is that pocketing.
Yeah,
right?
And that could be a lot of factors. Could be the core, could be the top layer construction, which is the Pulse X has that Kevlar weave versus versus carbon fiber.
Could be that it's purple.
It could be multiple things, but it definitely feels more crisp, less dwelly coming off of the Harmony X than the Pulse X, broken in or not. Certainly. And so when I was going back and forth, the differences that I noted for all three of those variants was the Harmony X felt like it had a little less power and plow through than a broken in Pulse X and a non-broken in Pulse X.
Both.
And that could be because my pulses are a little bit heavier. So I have a flick weight on the bottom of both of my Pulse X's. The Harmony X that we had today had lead on the side, but not a flick weight on the bottom. So you're probably looking at a 0.3-ish ounce difference in static weight. So it might be that it just had less weight to push through.
Yeah.
But I did notice that.
Interesting.
Like when I was returning serves, I felt like I had more plow through on my pulses.
Interesting.
But again, that could just be a weight thing. Pop felt a little. I think it's feel, right? Because it feels crisper coming off that Harmony X. So it feels like I have more pop on that Harmony X. It felt like it sent it on counters quicker off the face versus the pulses that kind of pocket it and then sling it that way. Resets were noticeably harder for me with the Harmony X. I know you probably didn't notice it because I was just resetting everything anyways, but
I freaking carried him all day. He's talking about today and good gravy.
Look, it was a 6 a.m. session, okay? I don't function at 6 a.m. First time ever. It might be my last.
Brent.
It's the dad reviewer life, honestly, is what it is.
It really is. Outside of the awake window of kids.
Yep.
Early mornings, late nights. That's when you play.
Well, that's why we're filming, and it's midnight right now. Yeah.
Quite literally, it is.
Past midnight. 12:20. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
And we're not done.
We're not done.
Go on,
So
Brent.
yeah, that was my initial feel, is that the Harmony X feels crisper, not quite as much. It doesn't feel like it has as much dwell. The ball exits the face quicker.
It does.
It remains to be seen if it's the difference in weight or if it's the difference in actual plow through power. I felt the Harmony X had slightly less plow through power, and the Pulse X still feels better to me. It has that softer feel. It pockets even the non-broken in one. I was thinking, because I was telling you, like, I think this Harmony X is going to feel a lot like my non-broken in Pulse X.
Yep.
Because the non-broken in Pulse X doesn't feel as soft as a broken in one. But that non-broken in Pulse X still felt softer than the Harmony X that we had today.
Thinking about the core construction, which John Q talked about in his podcast. You can go look at it.
Yeah, go look at John Q's
He very
podcast.
briefly mentioned it, but it's nothing like the original Pulse series.
Mm-hmm.
Although, even with that being said, it carries some of the attributes of the Pulse series in that it is more dampened. It is more like, has a more of a muted feel, and I don't know how this particular construction does that. But I think it's the uniqueness of the Pulse series is its great absorption and its dwell time, it's sucking in, and this is the Harmony series is kind of like that, but a little bit less.
Yes,
I think if the Pulse series did not exist, this would be kind of like, oh cool, this is like a really nice feel. This is a really pleasant, type paddle, but the Pulse does that just a little bit more.
It does.
And it's not better or worse per se, if you prefer that, but I agree with everything except for one of your take.
Yeah.
But I do agree that the pop and the feel are the two big differences here, and that the pop is more rapid. It's more crisp. The dwell time is lower. It's a little bit more conventional in that way. But it does have kind of that dampened feel. And it does still feel really nice to hit the ball. Nothing about hitting off of the face feels bad.
No. This is just comparing to that Pulse X. Like, if you're comparing to the general paddle population, that's still a very forgiving,
very,
feeling
very
paddle.
Much. Yeah, agreed. Yeah. I think, this is interesting hearing you say that. I think you might hear some varied opinions on what hits harder. The Harmony X or the Harmony series versus the Pulse series. I took out the V and some Pulse Vs and the X and my Pulse X and hit them side by side, and it's kind of hard to tell because the feedback is so minimal.
Yeah.
They're also so muted that I had to really just kind of watch. And I felt like the Harmony series hit just a little bit harder.
Yeah.
But again, man, it's so close. Like, I don't doubt that you felt like it hit harder or that anybody else did. It is very close.
And that's fair.
And that's not a main difference, I don't think. It really isn't.
I think I need to get those paddles weighted up the same to where they're the same stock weight and see what feels like it hits harder. Because the Harmony X wasn't close. It was pretty close as far as power goes to the Pulse X. It just felt a little bit less.
Yeah, and that's a non-broken in version.
Yes.
I will say. Like the broken in pulses, I do think they definitely hit harder.
They do hit harder.
They pocket and absorb well.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Scooter from Scooter Review Stuff, SRS, his channel, and he put like roughly 4 to 6 hours on his X until he started feeling like it was pocketing more. He said it hit significantly harder than his X.
Okay.
I haven't hit that point with my Harmony.
Yeah.
I haven't heard it elsewhere per se, but it kind of gave me hope. I'm like, oh, cool. Like, I'm gonna try that. I want that.
Yeah.
Or like, I'm gonna try and prove that or disprove that. I haven't hit that point yet with my Harmony. I think we've had almost the same amount of hours at this point between you and I both hitting that same Harmony X.
Yeah.
I would say like drive speed is not a significant factor. I'd say pop and feel are the significant factors at this point. And weight, they're lighter. The Harmonies are all lighter for sure.
So you have more room to customize with tungsten, with lead, whatever you want to do there. Or if you don't, it's just a lighter paddle overall. I think if the original plan of like the Harmonies replacing the Pulses actually went through, I could make the Harmonies work. Like, I could see myself maining.
If there was no Pulse, you'd do a Harmony.
I could see myself maining a Harmony for sure. Yep. But because I know that the Pulse exists and I love it so much, and I know it's going to continue to exist. I will still, I think, prefer the Pulse unless the Harmony X does actually break in, like you were saying, Scooter was saying.
Yeah, I think like I've got so much on the agenda. I'm gonna leave Brent my X, so we'll stand by for if Brent wants to continue to hit his Pulse series or if he'll do the X. But I think we've got time though. I don't think these are gonna release. So Pickleball Apes has been putting these out to like 20 like people at a time.
Yeah, like random Discord folks.
Yeah, the graphics aren't final on these, but the interior core design is. So if they break in among the various folks, we'll see. But what did he say? Like it's May now. I think July-ish, mid to end July. I think he said these are going to release. So,
and if it does break in significantly, like that kind of goes against what he was trying to do in the first place. So. I'm not expecting it. I'm not expecting it to do a huge break in.
Thinking about what the core does, like
he's done so much to combat that it's hard to believe.
I don't understand why it would do that.
Yeah,
it goes against logic as to why this would have a break in. Looking at the core design, but who knows?
Who knows? Yeah,
maybe Scooter Core Crush. Scooter,
maybe
Core Crushers.
Maybe stop hitting it so hard, Scoot.
Scooter, damn it, Scooter. No, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
But we'll see. So they'll both. The Pulse and the Harmony will exist in the future. And they're both good. Okay, we have one more paddle.
All right.
Before we call it good for today. We have the GRUVN Solid Foams. So Brent and I have been hitting the MUVN 16HD. It's an overall hybrid shape. They have multiple models of these. Kevin at GRUVN has produced here. So they have the Kevlar carbon fiber weave, which I've always really liked the look of the GRUVN carbon fiber weaves, Kevlar carbon fiber weaves. We've been hitting the carbon fiber one specifically. Once these hybrids get approved, he's going to put in the elongateds and standards for similarity testing. And these are very peculiar in not necessarily a good or bad way. These are very different than a solid foam. You'd think like just once a paddle has like a solid foam core, they're all going to kind of play the same.
Yeah.
But that's like saying every paddle that has a polypropylene honeycomb core is going to play the same. And that's just not true.
Yeah.
Something is different about these that makes them play different than the true foams and the blue cores or the whatever. So these have quite a while. They've had probably 2 to 3 months, I would estimate, before they're approved and hit the streets. But they're very interesting. You hit a little bit with it today, Brent. What'd you think?
So I think you might have to carry more on this one because I only was able to hit it for a few points. So I don't have a ton of feedback on that one. It feels different than the carbon true foam.
It definitely does. It definitely does.
Yeah. Kind of goes to your point of, well, just because it's all foam doesn't mean they're all going to play the same. More power and pop than I was expecting, honestly.
Yeah, it does have more power.
It's got some interesting power behind it. But I don't know. The few points I played with it, I think I was a little off. So like me giving
you weren't driving with it yet. I was on Brent's team and guy, he was sucking.
Dude,
that was all
that
game.
We got wrecked. That game.
That was not the game we got beat 11-0, was it?
It was. Yeah.
Okay, well we've been like training against solid players for this upcoming tournament.
Yeah. I think we
that's what you need when you're training.
I think we may have won overall that series. Maybe we'll say we did because we are the ones in charge of filming it.
For sure we did.
But yeah, I think I was
Nate and Jeff. You heard it here. We won.
I think I was using this, and it just wasn't working for me that game. So, like, I feel like giving my opinion on it might
why
color
wasn't it working?
In a bad way.
Why wasn't it working for you?
I don't know. I don't think it was what I was expecting. I don't know. I was expecting something like softer feeling, maybe more muted, and
Brent thought it'd be
powerful.
Forgiving, and he was just like hitting it hard when he didn't want to hit it hard.
Yeah, and
sounds like, right?
Yeah. I was expecting a lot of like feedback, like dampening, like a true foam, and I was not getting that. And I think going from the elongated to a hybrid shape was messing with me too. I'm not as versatile as you are, that you can just go from like elongated to standard to hybrid. Yeah. So
multi-directional.
So I didn't play as well with it. I think it's because it was not what I was expecting at all. It had more power and feedback than I was thinking it was going to have.
To be fair, I think that's a very valid and non like I think that's in effect that I think a lot of people would have, like picking it up. Like, it's not flashy, the design doesn't like, holy shit, this is gonna be like the biggest hard hitting. But the first time I played with it, I like hit serves long, I hit returns long, speed ups or like counters. I was like, whoa, that's like coming off. It has so Morgan Kaplan was playing next to us with like Colin and a couple other guys, and he's like, hey, you hitting the true foam, like, or I mean, you hitting the GRUVN, what do you think? And I'm like, it's kind of hard to dial in. Like, this is not what I expect. Yeah. I don't think I've dialed it in quite yet, but it has a component to it that is a little bit untangible. I still haven't dialed it in, but it definitely hits much harder and it has more pop response. Yeah. In a way that I did not expect, and I don't know why. I don't know if
the true foam just colored my vision of what
the true foam is very predictable. It's like low pop, like, you swing hard and it'll drive hard because it has mass. And this has kind of an exponential type response to it, for sure. I don't know what the face composition is or what else is in the core there, but it's definitely unique. I haven't hit anything like it, for sure.
It feels like just going from the pulse and the harmony to that. Like, it was a huge difference, and I was like, "Oh, I need to like drill with this thing and try to figure it out first before I actually play some games with it and just get wrecked."
If you have an expectation for what this paddle is going to be like, I think it'll be different than that. Because I still, having tested like literally hundreds of paddles, can't quite put my finger on what it is about this one that, like, why it feels so different. If it's like, if there's a certain spot on it that's more responsive than others, or if it's like a core composition, like everything about it is different. I'm not sure.
Surprised you haven't cut it open yet.
Well, it's my only one.
Because it's your only one, yeah.
Kevin told me he has like 7 of these total.
Oh, so I'm like, so he's not sending you one to just destroy.
I'm not going to just like destroy this one yet. Yeah. No promises. But
he's going to get a wild hair later and be like, I need to know what's inside of it.
I also don't promise that I will keep it intact. There's no paddle that's safe over here.
There isn't. It's like Game of Thrones with these paddles over here. Nobody's safe.
Pick a paddle on the wall, and I'll cut it open.
He's going to cut open the Gold Invader.
You think you're safe? I'll cut you, out of principle, I'll cut you open the Gold Invader.
$300 Gold Invader, cut open.
That's hilarious. Like, yeah, it's just like the normal Invader, but I'll cut it open. So, anyways, whatever these end up being, they are very unique. Yeah. If you think that solid foam cores, the mistake people I think will make is that because Carbon, I think, has a patent on foam with holes in the core, that people are like, oh, well, you can't change that, then they're all going to be the same. They're not. Yeah. There's a lot more you can change. Just like polypropylene, you can change a lot with that and all the other stuff. They're going to be different still, and this is an example of that. Yeah. I think this is still probably going to be a special paddle. I still haven't put my finger on what it is. I still haven't put my finger on if I could like play well with this paddle or not.
I don't know either.
It's got some cool things about it. It's more poppy, more powerful than I expected.
I think if you can get it dialed, I think it's going to require drilling and hitting and playing in hours. Yeah. To understand it. But if you can get it dialed, it has a lot of good attributes that like you could use to your advantage. Honestly.
Agreed. Yeah. See how like this side is like kind of the ball has been hit mostly in the center. This is when Brent hit it. See how it's like everywhere. This was my side. It was mostly in the middle. Brent probably has a good take on this because he was like kind of all over. You know,
it did feel like the sweet spot wasn't as big as I was thinking it would be.
Well, I don't know. Like, what does it feel like out here?
Yeah,
that was
maybe mark, that's right? Not the paddle's fault.
I mean, hell, I only know what it feels like in the center.
That's complete user error on my part. Yeah.
No. Yeah. So these will be. We've got a couple of months for these. Yeah. And stand by for updates on that. Because, you know, there's a lot of time between now and then, so I appreciate having the time to test it before it's released. To
we love getting paddles months
not a week before it's released.
We love getting paddles. 11/6/24, we're looking at you. Thanks for getting us those power paddles months in advance. Appreciate it.
Well, fellas and gals, that is the 17th episode of the PBMED podcast. This may be it for Brent and I. Good freaking riddance, Brent.
Maybe.
Stand by. You know what? I'm going to post some footage from the Nerdy Tourney of
Yeah.
me just wrecking Brent. There'll be no shortage, I'm sure, unless we're playing together. Then we'll just be wrecking everybody.
Well, we challenged a lot of the other podcast groups to play us.
Oh, I didn't tell you? They responded. Everyone said, please don't play us. Everyone said, no,
We can't
no.
compete. Yeah.
You guys are too good. This is really not fair. You can't be together. Go
yeah.
play with this guy.
So the actual tournament's Saturday with our partners that we were assigned by Bread and Butter.
Good luck taking second, Brent.
Yeah, thanks.
Appreciate
And Sunday, maybe we get some podcasts, mano a mano type thing, and we'll get some footage of that and post it if anybody is willing to play us.
That's right. Willing is the key word. We need some willing victims.
Being able to, sign off on us publishing us wrecking them.
You heard it here. You heard any of you that are willing to be destroyed. You let us know and we'll just kick on your asses for you. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, you'll hear from us maybe one more time from the Nerdy Tourney or so, but maybe we'll do some, I don't know, remote stuff. Who knows? Otherwise, breathe a sigh of relief. Brent's out of here.
You don't have to see this ginger mug anymore.
Get out of here, Brent. And I'll say hi from Pittsburgh at some point whenever I have time. Brent will still be here. Being okay at Pickleball.
I've got like 100 followers on Instagram now, so I'm, just on my way.
Unsubscribe. Unsubscribe.
To be in the next big thing. But no, for real, like it's been great. You asking me to join. When did we start? Like
you begging me to
January?
come on? Is that okay?
January,
Yeah.
February?
Whatever it
When did we
was.
start?
I said sure, try it out, Brent.
Whatever. It's been a really fun ride.
Yeah.
I hate that it's coming to a probable end, but like you got intern year, you're a dad, husband, all that good stuff. So, more important things in life than pickleball. So I get it.
Arguable.
I know.
People's lives.
Hey,
I mean, whatever.
Yeah. You don't have to tell me. I'm pretty addicted and obsessed with pickleball.
Right.
So, but yeah, it's been a great ride. It's been really fun doing this. Looking forward to the Nerdy Tourney, meeting everybody there. One last hurrah as host and co-host of the Pickleball Med podcast. And
That's right.
Yeah, let's try to go out.
Did you just say host and co-host for yourself?
Yeah, for you.
I'm the host.
Yeah, you're
Brent's
the host. I'm the
co-host.
co-host. It's been a good ride as you're the host. And I'm the co-host.
Damn right I'm the host. Co-host.
I'm going to beat you in the Nerdy Tourney, but that's okay. It'll be like our beer games all over again.
It's nothing like the beer games, Brent. You could have used the whole court in real games.
That's true.
No, Brent's been a great co-host. Obviously, you guys know that, but he's been a good friend. He's helped me through some hard times, and my wife can attest to that too. So, genuine thank you to Brent for being a good co-host and a good friend and a good man. So, we'll report from the Bread and Butter Tourney in Florida.
Absolutely.
So, thank you all.